Rahim. I seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Brothers and sisters, welcome to another Quran study. God willing, we will be reading from chapter 27, verse 79. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Therefore, put your trust in God. You are following the manifest truth. You cannot make the dead nor the deaf hear the call if they turn away. Nor can you guide the blind out of their straying. The only ones who will hear you are those who believe in our revelations and decide to be submitters. So these verses are very clear, right, about the commandments of God, like how we need to think about convincing maybe someone. Before I was always thinking that, if I would tell them the truth, and if I would give the people the evidence of Dr. Rashad being the messenger of the covenant, the miracle of 19, I thought we could convince people on believing in the message. But when you read the Quran, and this is like an example verses where God clearly says, like, you cannot make them hear you. It's all about their own decisions, because in 81 it says, and decide to be submitters. So the only ones who will hear you are those who believe in our revelations and decide to be submitters. So if someone is closing their eyes and mind and all those things for the revelations and the message of God, then we can't do anything. The only thing that we can do basically is tell the people what the truth is and what the Quran says and what God says in the Quran, and invite them to submission. But if they decide not to believe in it, then it's their fate. It's predestined. It's also not our job to convince people, right? In 79 we read also a very important sentence. Actually, it says, put your trust in God. This is extremely important, because as submitters, when you believe that God is running everything, that He is in full control, then you put your trust in God, so you don't have to worry about anything at all. Someone who believes that God runs everything, that God is in control and does everything, will not get angry, will not get upset, and will not be saddened for something. We learn from the message of the covenant, and of course throughout the whole Quran, the basic message is that God is running everything, He's doing everything, God is in full control, and He's the only one who is in control actually. And as a submitter, submission means basically submitting to the will of God. And when you believe that God is running everything and you submit to His will, you give yourself up. Let's say you give your you put your trust in God, and trusting in Him gives a submitter the feeling to be happy, right? Like you will be happy because you know that God is in control. He is doing everything. He knows everything. God is most wise. He's the best judge. And then He also gives what someone deserves. So if something bad happens to you, then we need to know that it's our own fault, right? We deserved it. And if something good happens to us, then we need to know that this is from God. So as a submitter, this helps the person also very psychologically, right? In our daily lives, we do a lot of things, and many things happen to us. And when you have the mindset of a submitter who knows and believes that God is running everything, that person will not be angry at all, and that person will be happy all the time, because you put your trust in God, and then knowing that it gives you this relaxed feeling, right? Because you don't have to worry about anything, because God is in control. 82. The computer is the creature. At the right time, we will produce for them a creature made of earthly materials, declaring that the people are not certain about our revelations. The day will come when we summon from every community some of those who did not believe in our proofs forcibly. So for a very long time, before I became a submitter and before I knew about the miracle of 19, I was always wondering what this creature was like, because God is talking about it in the Quran. And a lot of people, they had their own ideas. People made guesses, but right now we know what it is. We know that this is the computer, right? And this is being proven also to us. So it's very clear that the creator, the creature, which God talks about throughout the Quran, is the computer, who is proving that the Quran is the word of God, that God exists, and that all the things that are written in the Quran indeed happened, and it's a physical evidence. And the creature, where God says, is made of worldly materials, right? Earthly materials, made of earthly materials. And we know that the chips, it's made of silicon. The computers that we are using, these are all made from the materials that we have out of this world. Like, you have gold in a computer, you have like zinc, copper, like metals, a lot of different type of materials that we find in our world, and we have made like computers out of them. And the thing is, these verses where God is talking about the creatures is like sent to humankind 1400 years ago. So this shows also something, right? 1400 years ago, if you would tell someone what the creature is, that humans are going to build this machine, and then it's going to be able to make these immense calculations, and it's going to be like make it very easy for people to understand the miracle of 19, the geometrical values. Like, when we look at the miracle of 19, and how complicated it actually is, and how big the numbers are, the digits are. Like, you have in one of these examples of the miracle, you have like 80,000 digits, right? So, and 1400 years ago, it's impossible for the human beings to understand those numbers. It's really impossible. Actually, even today, how we understand it is we are using the computer, and then it gives us the result, right? Like, you put this immensely big number with all these digits in the computer, and you ask it to divide with 19, and then it gives you the answer, right? It gives you the exact answer, and you will know that it is indeed a multiple of 19. But 1400 years ago, this was impossible, of course, for humans to truly understand what this will mean, because to understand it, you need the computer. You need to be able to do all these calculations. But even today, with the computer, with AI, with all those results, right? Because this is a fact. It's not it's not someone's idea, right? It exists. You can open the book, you can count those things, you can put it in the computer, and then it will give you a result. And this result is visible for everyone in the whole world. Everyone can see all these multiples of 19. So it is a fact. And even if it's a fact, like the verses before, when we have read about that you cannot make the blind see, and if their hearts are closed to the message of God, it's not going to make any difference either they would have a computer or not. Like, we have the computer, we can show that all these numbers are multiples of 19, and it is impossible for a human being to do, and that's the evidence that this book is indeed sent by God. And but still, you have a lot of people who don't believe. Most of the people, they don't believe, even with all the miracles and all the evidences. So this also shows something, right? Like, this shows that even if God sends a miracle, a messenger, even if God proves all those things, um, you will have people who are not going to believe in it. But the system of God, how it works is, He eliminates all excuses. So when the people who have seen the evidences and the miracle, and who didn't believe in it, when they die, they are not going to have any excuses. And we know that until the year 2280, many more billions of people are going to come, and the Quran is actually sent to the majority of the humans, right? When you, the messenger also talks about it, when we look at the miracle of 19, it is indeed, this Quran is indeed sent 1400 years ago, but the majority of the humans that will come to this world and who are gonna live, they will know and they will see the Quran, they will see the miracle. So the miracle is meant for the majority of the humans, and this is an extremely special miracle because it is not bound by any time. You know, the miracle can be witnessed today, but also tomorrow. It can also be witnessed after 150 years. And you don't have to be in a location to witness the miracle. You can witness it anywhere in the world, in USA or in Europe or in Africa or in a desert. And the language of the miracle is the language of the miracle is mathematics, because the creature that we're talking about here is basically uh, um, the computer works with mathematics, with algorithms, right? So, and this is universal. It's not like Chinese or Arabic or Turkish or any other language that someone can say, yeah, but I didn't speak the language. So the excuse of not understanding the miracle is also eliminated. And someone who can think normally would easily see that this miracle is impossible to make by not only humans but also by the computer itself. That's also really amazing, right? Like it's like you need the computer to show the miracle, to make all these calculations. The computer can make these calculations, but when you ask the computer to make a similar thing, it cannot do it. So this also proves this also proves that, you know, you have these people, they're talking um, about these very um, uh, highly intelligent creatures that came to this world thousands of years ago, and then they started civilization in this world, and they were like very far with technology. You know, they were very the technology that they had is like immense, right? That's what they claim, of course, without any evidence. um, so like even that excuse is eliminated because now you have the computer. Ask AI to generate something like that. It doesn't have to generate like a full book like the Quran. Even if you ask it to generate like one page, even a small chapter, or like make a few sentences which is based on 19, right? It is not able to do it. At least we tried many times to show that it is impossible. And actually, at a point, AI itself says that this is impossible. And as explanation, it says like when you try to make fit the sentences to the number, then the sentence doesn't make any sense. And when the sentence does make sense, it doesn't align with the number that you want to achieve. So this shows us that you know, the Quran, the miracle of 19, this is definitely from God, the creator of the heavens and earth, and we don't have any excuses. And for someone who is searching for the truth, like this is actually like an amazing thing, right? Like a human being who is looking for the truth, trying to find answers for these important questions, like why am I sent to this world? Does God exist? Which religion is the right religion? So if you are that person and you're looking for all these answers, this miracle of 19 proves that the Quran is the word of God, and that it's sent by God, and that that's the truth. So you won't have any doubts anymore. It will remove all these doubts that you have. We of course read in chapter 74 verse 31 where God explains what the miracle of 19 does, right? What it is. And we read there that it removes all doubt. Anyone who has a doubt that this book is indeed from God, that doubt will disappear. And of course, um, if you're a person who is a cheater, who is a liar, while knowing that this is the truth, you're not going to believe in it. You know, that's something else, of course. But it's indeed a fact. Study the Quran's mathematical code. 84. When they arrive, he will say, you have rejected my revelations before acquiring knowledge about them. Is this not what you did? They will incur the requital for their wickedness. They will say nothing. Have they not seen that we made the night for their rest and the day lighted? These should be sufficient proofs for people who believe. On the day when the horn is blown, everyone in the heavens and the earth will be horrified, except those chosen by God. All will come before him forcibly. By the way, the footnote, I also need to read the footnote. It says 2782, 2 plus 7 plus 8 plus 2 is 19. The computer was required to unveil the Quran's mathematical miracle, and it proved that most people have discarded God's message. See appendices 1 and 19. Yeah, so God is sending, of course, the miracle, the Quran, and He proves with the miracle that the Quran is God's word. And as I said, like, this is to eliminate any excuses that they would have. People have even excuses like the Quran is sent in Arabic, and I don't speak Arabic. So, like, they would ask God, why didn't you send me? Why didn't you send the Quran in my own language, right? In English or anything else? And even for that, people can't have any excuses anymore, because the Quran is written in every language, and almost everyone in the world have access to AI or to computers, or they have a cell phone where they can ask questions or do translations. So no more excuses. Like, these are all eliminated. Even and we know, right, the computer is invented in the 1900s, let's say, and until 2020, 2280, technology will evolve. Of course, it's going to become much better at what it does. So, like, and even if it becomes like much better than it is, still the computer is not going to be able to create something like this. And people who will see that, of course, will not have any excuses if they are not going to accept the message of God. 88. Earth's movement, a scientific miracle. When you look at the mountains, you think that they are standing still, but they are moving like the clouds. Such is the manufacturer of God, who perfected everything. He is fully cognizant of everything you do. So imagine that we live 1400 years ago, and then someone comes, claims to be the messenger of God, the prophet of God, claims to receive the revelations from God, and you ask that person, okay, what is the revelation? What is the message? And he reads the message. He says in 88, when you look at the mountains, you think that they're standing still, but they are moving like the clouds. You would think that that person is crazy, right? Like, how in the world would someone think that the mountains are moving like the clouds? But in today's world, with the technology and the researches that are being done, we know exactly now what this verse means, and we know that the verse is telling the truth. Every scientific sentence in the Quran is proven right. Some of them are not proven right yet, because the research is not that far away, let's say, or people are not evolved, or the technology or our knowledge is not evolved that much to be able to prove a scientific thing which is in the Quran. But with the miracle, of course, even without that, we would believe in it, right? Like, even if someone doesn't have the evidence that the mountains are moving and they are not standing still, if that person knows the miracle of 19, if that person witnessed the miracle of 19, that person would know that this sentence is written by God. Like, every word and letter that we are reading from the Quran is God's words. He is the one who put them there, and we know this. We don't believe in it. Before we believed in it, but with the miracle of 19, we know that it's from God. So what we first do is, if we read something that it's unbelievable, for example, as a submitter, we first believe in it, because we say we are not knowledgeable enough to exactly understand the technicalities behind it, right? Or not every person can understand what it means that mountains move, right? But when you believe in the miracle of 19, you know that this is God's words, and you know that God is all-knowing, and you know that God will never make a mistake, so you are immediately going to believe in it. And then you can do your research, you can read books about it, or you can watch some videos, explanations about that mountains are not standing still and that they are moving, the continents, for example. And this information is very new, right? Like for many years, people thought that the world was flat. Let's aside that they would believe that mountains are gonna move, right? Like so, for human beings at that time when the Quran was revealed, they didn't also have the miracle of 19. That's also an important detail, right? The Quran is sent with the miracle, but it wasn't unveiled yet. It's unveiled in 1974 by Dr. Rashid Khalifa, and for that he used the computer, of course. But those people will not be held accountable for the miracle of 19 because they didn't know about it. So, and everyone after 1974 who heard about the miracle and who knows the miracle will be held accountable for it. But this is a good example on how we can understand these verses where God gives a scientific information that even if we don't have the evidence yet, we who know the miracle of 19 will first believe in it. We know that's the truth. We know it's from God. And then we can do our research. Or what also can be done is, for example, when you read a message in the Quran about a topic, let's say it's a scientific topic, and let's say from the research that humans did or with the technology that the humans have, if the information is the opposite information, or if the technology of today says something else, we already know that the technology is not right. The thing which is written in the Quran is the right one, and people are making mistakes, and in time they will see their mistakes, right? Because God cannot make any mistakes. It's only humans can make mistakes. So it gives you this assurance of this information. We know it's from God. The day of judgment. Those who bring good works in their records will receive far better rewards, and they will be perfectly secure from the horrors of that day. As for those who bring evil works, they will be forced into hell. Do you not get requited for what you did? I am simply commanded to worship the Lord of this town. He has made it a safe sanctuary, and he possesses all things. I am commanded to be a submitter and to recite the Quran. Whoever is guided for his own good, and if they go astray, then say, I am simply a warner. And say, praise to be God, he will show you his proofs until you recognize them. Your Lord is never unaware of anything you do. So God is talking about the day of judgment, and it's actually very simple. It's not that complicated. If you follow God's message, if you accept God's message, if you follow the message, if you practice all the commandments of God, and you do your best, we learn from the message of the covenant that this will help us grow our souls. And when our souls are grown at that time, and how do you grow your souls? By following the commandments, by doing what God tells us to do, and by doing good deeds, right? And we learn here, he says, as for those who bring evil works, they will be forced into hell. And if you bring good works, he said, they will receive far better rewards. And they will be perfectly secure from the horrors of that day. So that day, the day of judgment, it's going to be like, it's going to be amazing, right? Like an awesome day. It's going to be an awesome day where everyone is going to see what they have done. The good deeds, the bad deeds, like the things that the decisions that you have made in your life. And the ones who have done good deeds sincerely, they will be rewarded. And if you were a bad person who didn't accept any message or did bad things, then you will be forced into hell. It's very simple, and this is the system of God. We accepted this system, right? God asked us if we would, if we wanted to come to earth as human beings, and he asked us if we wanted to be tested, right? If we wanted to go this road, and we accepted it. The animals, for example, they were smart enough not to accept it. They said, no, I'm totally happy with being a dog or an ant or, any creature, and happy to go to the world as a dog or like an animal. And when I die, I will go to low heaven. Those souls have accepted that. They were smarter than us. And the ones who didn't accept it, like we knowingly accepted to be tested in this world, knowingly what's going to happen to us, because the Messenger of the Covenant, he talks about this topic as well, and he says like we underestimated the devil. First of all, that's one thing. The second thing is um, of course, there is a reward after being tested. If you can grow your soul and you have then the chance to, become very close to God. We learned this in chapter 55, if I'm not mistaken, where there are three places where you can go. One is hell, the other one is the low heaven, and the third one is the high heaven, and high heaven is closest to God. So maybe many of us wanted to go to that high heaven, and we underestimated the devil. And the other thing is, we followed our own ego. Like our own ego said, probably, no, I'm not going to be a dog. Like I'm too high to be a dog. Like my level, and that comes from the ego. And God clearly says in the Quran, kill your egos, because our ego brought us to this world. And one of the other things what we read here, he says, I am simply commanded to worship the Lord of this town. He has made it a safe sanctuary, and he possesses all things. I am commanded to be a submitter. This is what God commands him. And to recite the Quran. Whoever is guided for his own will. So it doesn't say, I'm sent, so I'm going to be an example for you guys, and you need to follow my hadith or sunnah, right? It's the opposite. He says, and to recite the Quran. He's not allowed to speak except the Quran, right? Any religious topic, the messenger, Prophet Muhammad, he was not allowed to give his own ideas about it, right? Because he was receiving the Quran, and the Quran is sent not in one day, right? It's sent in 23 years. He was continuously receiving these revelations, and you can clearly see that the revelations that are sent also in a pattern, in a way. People came and they asked these questions to the Prophet, and then the Prophet, it's not the job of the Prophet to answer those questions. His job is to be a messenger and to give the message that God has sent to the people. So when people were asking questions, God sent revelations to answer those people, right? In any circumstance, in those 23 years. This is one of the things that people maybe don't really understand. That's why they believe in hadith and sunnah. They think that God sent this book, the Quran, and it's not. They say that it's not detailed, so they need the hadith and sunnah to understand the Quran. And the hadith and sunnah are sent to explain the Quran, while we read in the Quran clearly that God says that he is the one who sends this book, and he is the one who's explaining it, and this book is in full detail, and everything is in this book, and nothing is missing. So when you know that, it's going to be very easy to accept the Quran as the only source. And this is what we read here, right? It says, and to recite the Quran. So only the Quran. And God says, whoever is guided for his own good. And if they go astray, then say, I am simply a warner. Because no messenger or a prophet is responsible for the people, right? Their job is only to give the message. And say, praise be to God, he will show you his proofs until you recognize them. And today we have this amazing proof that we talked about before, right? The miracle of 19. It's such an amazing evidence. We can talk hours about it and look at all these evidences, the numbers. We can use computers and AI. And the Messenger of the Covenant did also like a lot of work, right? In the books where you can witness the miracle. He's showing point by point in every verse the letters, like the letters are counted, the words are counted. So it's not a secret anymore. It's like well known. It's totally open for everyone. 28 Surah 28, History, Al-Qasas. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. TSM. The footnote says, see Appendix 1 for details of the Quran's miraculous mathematical code and the meaning or significance of these Quranic initials. So these letters, we have 29 chapters that start with these letters. And the Messenger of the Covenant, when he decided to translate the Quran, um, the second chapter of the Quran starts with these letters. It starts with ALM. And he decided not to go to the next verse if he didn't understand the verse before. So after translating chapter 1, the key, Al-Fatiha, he started with, he went on with chapter 2, which started with these letters, and he looked at, what these letters could mean. And there wasn't any meaning for these letters. There was no evidence of what it meant, what it is. So after doing all that research, because he lived in the computer age and the computers were just made, like you could do calculations with them, you could do many things at that time with them, he decided to put it into the computer. And after doing that, the Miracle of 19 was revealed in 1974. And and after that, we know now what the Miracle of 19 meant. One of the other things I want to say about these letters is most of the people, they think that Prophet Muhammad knew what these letters meant, but actually he didn't know about the Miracle of 19. It was not meant for Prophet Muhammad to know about the miracle, because there is also this verse where God tells him that he cannot hide any revelations, any information that he receives from God. He cannot hide it, like about the Quran, right? Like he needs to tell the people about the revelation. So even the Prophet didn't know about the Miracle of 19 because it was not meant for him to unveil it. It was meant for the Messenger of the Covenant in 1974. These letters constitute proofs of this profound book. When we look at these 29 chapters, in many of those chapters, we read the letters, and then the second verse most of the time says that these are the proofs of this book, right? Like it was standing there for 1400 years. People were reading the letters, and the second verse was, these are the proofs of this book, and no one knew what these proofs are. And when actually to know that there is something with number 19 in the Quran, you don't really need the computer, for the basic things. For example, the Quran has 114 chapters. It's a multiple of 19, right? The last chapter has 6 verses, so 114, 6. It's 6 times 19. Basmala has 19 letters. And then, like, you have these many simple things that even without a computer, it can be counted, and you can witness, or you can at least see and say, there is something with this 19. But for 400 years, no one came up with this 19 in the Quran, because God, who's controlling 1400 years. So, and no one. And this is also a miracle, right? Like, to prevent thousands of people who read the Quran, and the Quran is the most researched book, right? People have counted the letters, maybe, or like they have done many things about the Quran, looking for other miracles in the Quran. They really tried, but it is being prevented because only that Rashad Khalifa was meant to unveil the Miracle of 19. And this by itself is also a miracle, that for 1400 years no one could see the miracle, no one could unveil it. So this means that God is controlling the minds and the hearts of everyone who's reading this book. It says, we recite to you herein some history of Moses and Pharaoh, truthfully for the benefit of people who believe. Pharaoh turned into a tyrant on earth and discriminated against some people. He persecuted a helpless group of them, slaughtering their sons while sparing their daughters. he was indeed wicked. And of course, God tells us gives us the example of Moses and Pharaoh, and he says truthfully for benefit of the people who believe. Like this is an example for us, and many other examples in the Quran about the tyrants or the people who didn't believe in the message of God. And we know now why, right? It's all because of the ego, and people are of course predestined. Not everyone is going to believe in the message, even with all these miracles that God has given Moses. Pharaoh still insisted on not believing in it. And we read here that God says he persecuted a helpless group of them, slaughtering their sons while sparing their daughters. Like, can you imagine that you live in a country where the king, or the one who's in charge, who comes and kills the sons of that people and spares the girls? Like, this is really, it's a tyrant, right? And in today's world, we can see also same examples, like people who are in charge, who have power, who have the ability to kill people. They just do it. And today it's actually easier than before, right? They just need to press a button and it happens. Um, so um, so humans didn't change actually. That's what I want to say. So you had the pharaoh at that time, and today you have also many pharaohs who are killing innocent people. God compensates the oppressed. We will to compensate those who were oppressed on earth, and to turn them into leaders and make them the inheritors, and to establish them on earth, and to give Pharaoh, Haman, and their troops a taste of their own medicine. So, God is the one who controls everything, and He is in full power, and God can do anything He wants, right? Like those people who are being tyrants, God punished them, right? God punished Pharaoh and Haman and the troops. He did that because, and in a very miraculous way, right? Like, who is capable of, when you stand in front of a sea, right? Like, there's a lot of water, the sea is very deep, and who is now capable of opening the sea, and then while they are going there, He made them drown. And this is something that only God can do, right? And God says that He compensates the oppressed. So what happened is, the troops of Pharaoh and Pharaoh himself, they drowned there. And God says in also other verses, He tells us about what happened. Everything that they had, the power, the buildings, all those things that they were boasting about, like what happened with that, right? Everything is gone, and then now you have the millions of other people who are living in this world, living on the same soil, using the same country. Like in today's Egypt, you have, I don't know, maybe 80 million people who are living there. And where is Pharaoh? He is dead for many thousands of years, right? And what happened with him, with his ego? So yeah, like this ego makes people do very stupid things. Confidence in God. We inspired Moses' mother, nurse him, and when you fear for his life, throw him into the river without fear or grief. We will turn him to you and will make him one of the messengers. Pharaoh's family picked him up only to have him lead the opposition and to be a source of grief for them. That is because Pharaoh, Haman, and their troops were transgressors. This verse shows us, first of all, that God um, inspires also someone who is not a messenger or a prophet, right? God can inspire anyone who He wants, and God gives information about the truth to someone who is not a messenger or a prophet. And this is the evidence, and this evidence was one of the things that, mashallah, one of our brothers, he brought this up as evidence to people who think that we are talking about Apophis, a meteor that will hit Earth in 2029, 13 April 2029, and they say, yeah, and they say that this information is about the future, and only a messenger can give this information about when it's exactly going to happen. But here we can see that God inspires someone who is not a messenger or a prophet about something that's going to happen in the future, and He gave him details, right? He says, don't. Put him in the river, and don't fear or grieve we will return him to you, and we will make him one of our the messengers. So God tells exactly what's going to happen, and he says that it's going to become a messenger. So we shouldn't be really surprised if God inspires someone or a group of people and gives them the signs of what is going to happen in the future. This is possible. And of course, the evidence comes again from God, from the Quran, and the miracle of 19. Inside the lion's den, Pharaoh's wife said, "This can be a joyous find for me and you. Do not kill him, for he may be of some benefit for us, or we may adopt him to be our son." They had no idea. The mind of Moses' mother was growing so anxious that she almost gave away his identity. But we strengthened her heart to make her a believer. Of course, she's a mother, and then she gives birth to the child, and then she needs to put the child into the river, and then it goes to, the tyrant family. Like, it's very normal to a mother to be anxious about that, right? Even if she is inspired, she is a human being, she has those feelings, and she is a mother. Mothers have these feelings for their children, of course. So this is very normal. But again, God always helps. He said, she said to his sister, "Trace his path." She watched him from afar while they did not perceive. So Moses' sister, she follows where the baby goes in the river, and then she of course sees what happens, right? The infant returned to his mother. We forbade him from accepting all the nursing mothers. His sister then said, "I can show you a family that can raise him for you and take good care of him." And this is the way of how God brings Moses back to his mother, right? Like he says, put him there, and the whole point is that Moses will be adopted by Pharaoh. That's the whole plan, and it happens very in an amazing way, right? So you have this woman giving birth to the child and then putting it into the river. They find it and they adopt the child, and then the child doesn't drink milk from anyone else, and then his sister tells them, "I can help you out. I know someone who can do the job." And the mother of Moses goes and then does the job. So God is in full control, and this is actually a very good example for submitters who, when you are living your life and things are happening and you are going to be concerned about certain things. Maybe we should remember this story about the mother of Moses, and God is protecting and arranging all these things, and this is evidence for that, right? Thus we restored him to his mother in order to please her, remove her worries, and to let her know that God's promise is the truth. However, most of them do not know. When he reached maturity and strength, we endowed him with wisdom and knowledge. We thus reward the righteous. And of course, there's also one other thing I want to mention here. In 10, by the way, it says, "The mind of Moses' mother growing so anxious." No, about 9, it says, "Pharaoh's wife said, 'This can be a joyous find for me and you. Do not kill him, for he may be of some benefit for us, or we may adopt him to be our son.'" So we learn from the message of the covenant that we don't really make decisions, right? We only choose to be with God or not to be with God. And the example of Prophet Joseph, where the brothers so-called decided not to kill him, actually it wasn't their decision. They couldn't decide to kill him. And I see here the same example. Like Pharaoh couldn't decide to kill Moses. She's saying, "Do not kill him, for he may be of some benefit for us." But it was already predestined. So and the decision that the Pharaoh's wife is making and Pharaoh making, like the decision not to kill him, is not their own decision. Their minds are being controlled by God. He has a plan, and his plan works. And this is also evidence that God is running everything and does everything. Moses commits man's slaughter. When he was 14. When he reached maturity and strength, we endowed him with wisdom and knowledge. We thus rewarded the righteous. So God, of course, knows about Moses, right? So he gives him strength, and he gives him wisdom and knowledge. So this person is a knowledgeable person, right? Moses, and it's with God's plan. Moses commits manslaughter. Once he entered the city unexpectedly without being recognized by the people, he found two men fighting. One was a Hebrew from his people, and the other one was an Egyptian from his enemies. The one from his people called on him for help against his enemy. Moses punched him, killing him. He said, "This is the work of the devil. He is a real enemy and a profound misleader." So we have here Moses, who is in the streets of Egypt. He sees two people. One is a Hebrew, and the other one is an Egyptian. And the Hebrew, the guy, he is asking for Moses to help him, and then Moses punishes this guy, right? And then the guy, he is probably strong, right? Like, or something happens that killed that person after that punch. But it's also accordance with God's will, right? There is a plan. So this doesn't happen by coincidence, like, right? This is all planned by God. He said, "My Lord, I have wronged my soul. Please forgive me." And he forgave him. He is the forgiver, most merciful. So we see here a person, something happens, he kills that person, and then he repents immediately, and God says that he forgave him, right? We know from the Quran that God forgives everything except idol worship, and this is also, some evidence to show that God uh, forgives everything except idol worship. He said, "My Lord, in return for your blessings upon me, I will never be a supporter of the guilty ones." In the morning he was in the city, afraid and watchful. The one who sought his help yesterday asked for his help again. Moses said to him, "You are really a troublemaker." you know, this guy is a troublemaker, and then asks his help. Something, the person is being killed, because of what happened. And then, of course, we know that Pharaoh's people, they knew about what happened, and they were searching for Moses. But that was also part of the plan, that Moses would leave the city and then go to another place, and then we'll have a family, and all those other things that we will, God willing, read in the future, if in the next days. It's like already 46 minutes. So with this, I will be ending. If there are any questions or things that the brothers or sisters want to add, please go ahead. MashaAllah. Yeah, like very amazing verses that we have read. Like, we read about the miracle of 19. We read about Moses' mother knowing things about the future, the judgment day, the computer, the creature. Like, these are really amazing. And also we read about 28 chapter 28 verse 1. Again, a verse that starts with these letters. So I remember the measure of the covenant. He talks about chapter 19, if I'm not mistaken. This was the chapter where the most letters are there, chapter Mary. And he says there that you have more letters here because of, that Jesus born without the father. Like, it's very difficult for people to believe that a human being is born without the father, right? So this shows us very openly that, God is working in a way. It's like very simple, actually, right? He gives us this amazing evidence, so we can just believe in it, and we know that this is the truth. Yeah, for example, what I meant was, we know that there are seven universes, right? Or we know that in the Quran, God says there are six identical earths that God has created, and in the hereafter, He will show the people who say that that there is life because of the circumstances of this world. You know, um, the distance between the world and the sun, and you know that there's water in this world, and because of all those the evolutions that happened in this world, that's the reason why there is life, right? For example, that one. And we don't have evidence yet about the other six worlds, right? Maybe in the future we will have them, but you know, this information, we know there are six other identical earths, like the earth of where we live in. We know that without having evidence, because the evidence is actually that that information is in a book which is mathematically composed by God. You know, and that there are seven universes. Today, people don't know how many universes there are, right? They talk about multiverse, right? They make movies about multiverses, but they don't have an evidence. And we have the evidence, of course, but they don't have it. And maybe one day, with some technology or with something, they will can calculate or do so. You know what I mean? Like find out that there are seven universes, or find out that there are six other identical worlds, for example. And maybe also other things, right? Like for God talks about scientific things in the Quran. We do research about scientific things, but the information that we get from that research, maybe it's only 50% of what it really is, right? Or 10%. And when time goes by and we do more and more research, we get more information about that thing. And every time the Quran is telling the truth, you know, like the information is right. Yeah. Yeah, if the science says another thing than what is written in the Quran, of course the Quran is right. Yeah, because yeah, 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 definitely. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. 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 Or wicked. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the opposite, brother, is also true. You know, like for example, the uh, the s- the science that people accepted 400 years ago. You know, if the science said no, the Earth is flat, for example, or if they like that changes, right? Like it evolves. People with the capacity of what they have with the research that they are doing, it's very limited. So even if they would say something is different, with the miracle of 19, this is the ultimate evidence, the ultimate scientific evidence of that what it says is true. And because science. So not re- I- the word science is maybe wrong, or we should maybe say how people observe science, right? Um, they thought that they knew something 100 years ago with the science that they had at that time. Now, after doing more research and with the new evidences, they get new information. So with the science of today, maybe they can say no, this can't be true or something like that. And after maybe 50 years, science will evolve, and then you will have the evidence. But meanwhile, we will still believe in what is written in the Quran. That's what I want to say, because we have the miracle of 19, and we know that that's the truth.
I had a question about Moses commits manslaughter. So here it says, he said, "My Lord, I have wronged my soul. Please forgive me," and he forgave him. Like Moses at this time, he's not talking to God, right? Like at this moment, he just repents to God, and when God says, "And he forgave him," um, does this mean that Moses knows that he's been forgiven at that moment? Because he then says, he said, "My Lord, in return for your blessings upon me, I will never be a supporter of the guilty ones." Like, how should we understand this? Is he talking with God? Because we know Moses was talking with God, but from what I know and understood of the Quran verses was, he goes out from Egypt, goes to the place, and then goes to the mountain where he sees a light, the bush, the burning tree, and then he starts to talk with God. That was what I thought. But can we say that he started talking with God even before that happened because of these two verses?
You're
You
talking
understand my
about,
question?
yeah, you're talking about, he said, "This is a work of the devil. He is a real enemy and a profound misleader." He said, "My Lord, I have wronged my soul. Please forgive me." And he forgave him. He is a forgiver, most merciful. He said, "My Lord, in return for your blessings upon me, I will never be a supporter of the guilty ones." So he's not having like an active dialogue the same way as, he, after God spoke to him from within the fire, he's just having a conversation like me and you, conversation with God, and of course, he didn't. He asked God for forgiveness just like every other person because he didn't intend to do it, you know. And I mean, anybody who would be in that situation would understand that God would forgive them because they didn't mean to kill another person. Like he punched him. He didn't mean to kill him. He was trying to help his other friend. I mean, person from his tribe that was being attacked. And and he
Or he's
ended up
making a
dying.
promise. And he's making a promise, right? He says, "Please, God, I wrong my soul. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
My Lord, in return for your blessings upon me, I will never be a supporter of the gospel." So, like, I repent for what I have done. I will not do it again. Like we see here,
Yeah. I
repentance
mean, when it
instead of
says in
a.
return, yeah, I'm sorry. When it says in return for your blessings upon me, it doesn't mean that he's saying that because you have forgiven me, because obviously God is not speaking to him in that sense, right? He- But you can say in return for the blessings that God has given us, we're gonna worship him, right? Because he's given us eyes, ears, brains, etc. So in general, he's, my understanding is in general he's talking to God and having that conversation, of course. But I mean, of course, we can also see from here that he was a righteous person from before. Obviously, God. That's why God chose him and guided him, right? He wasn't like a disbeliever. Yeah. So he was a submitter in that sense, and he talked to God, and God obviously forgave him. And I mean, anybody who commits anything, like, it's like, let's say you're driving, accidentally you end up killing a person, you're not gonna be held accountable in the same way as someone who commits a premeditated murder that plans and, wants to maliciously kill someone, so obviously, I mean, that is a common understanding we all have about sins. So Moses also knew that as well. So he knew that it's like,
Mm-hmm.
he should still ask for forgiveness. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
you don't mean it.
Yeah, and in a few verses before, we have read that God says that He gave, when he reached maturity and strength, we endowed him with wisdom and knowledge. So he is endowed with wisdom and knowledge. So he knows about we thus reward the righteous. So because he is righteous and God knows
Mhm.
he's righteous, he gave him the knowledge and wisdom. And with that knowledge and wisdom, when he makes a mistake,
Mhm.
he immediately repents to God
Mhm.
and asks,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm. Yeah,
mashallah.
mashallah. And I think that's also another good verse about the knowledge and wisdom. It's like God talks about knowledge and wisdom in the Quran, and knowledge and wisdom doesn't necessarily come with age, and it doesn't come with someone reading the Quran. For you to be knowledgeable and wise, you need to be righteous. And Moses was righteous. That's why God says He gave him knowledge and wisdom.
Okay, yeah.
We see a lot of people, they know the Quran by heart. They even know the English translation by the Messenger of the Covenant, and they still can't help themselves apply any of it in their own life in a meaningful way that they can understand and benefit from. And they're just like the verses that talk about, God says when it lights for them, they move forward. When it turns dark, they stand still. Like they're barely moving in this world. Like they have no idea how to navigate through this world based on what God has given them. They're completely illiterate. Because they don't have the knowledge and wisdom from God that you get only from being righteous. To have real access to the Quran. God says none can grasp it except the sincere.
Except the righteous, yeah, mashallah. Yeah, it's an evidence for that claim again, mashallah. And brother, can we also talk a little bit more about, because we talked about it, but that was like a few months ago maybe, and this was the verse that you remembered us that God can inspire us or anyone else that He wants to inspire and give information about something that's going to happen in the future. So of course, I'm not saying that we received a revelation from God where He tells us that something is going to happen, about the prophets, this and that, but like God has a system on giving signs, that certain things are going to happen. For example, and what I'm talking about is, of course, Apophis,
Moses' mother.
that will, Moses' mother, but like Moses' mother. So she was inspired by God. But what I understand, brother, is like being inspired doesn't necessarily mean that an angel or someone is gonna come to you and then talk to you, or like some third person is gonna go into your head and then gonna tell you, hey, listen, I have some news for you, okay? Like this and this and this is gonna happen, right? You understand what I mean? Like this is something different. And if we connect this with Apophis, to tell the people who are listening and who don't have or would have the same questions about, like, wasn't it that only messengers can give information about the future? And here we have an example that a person who is not a messenger, who didn't receive any revelations or was not appointed as a prophet, a woman, she has received information about the future. Because this is a good point, like most of the people, when you give them information about the future, something that didn't happen yet, even if there are so much profound signs about what's going to happen, still there is this doubt, the doubt. And of course, the idea of only a messenger can give information about the future. This is a good example for me. And this is chapter 20.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing here is that in this case about the smoke, the messenger was given the information about the smoke, right? When exactly it would happen is, to me, that's just a minor detail in that sense, like the prophecy is coming from the messenger about the smoke, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
so I mean, that to me, that settles that part, right? I mean, if the messenger is not going to be alive and it's not relevant to him, and God wants it to be a secret for the most part, it's going to stay a secret. Like, for example, with the people of Lot, also, you can see, right? I mean, they, um, the messengers knew that this was going to happen because they were present at the time, right? The messenger of the covenant in this case wasn't going to be even present, so it wasn't even relevant for him to know exactly, right? And also for the for the people who have to be annihilated, they're not going to get a heads up. They have to be caught by surprise in order to be trapped by it. This is God's plan.
And even with heads up information, in the case of Noah, they didn't believe in him. They mocked him, right?
Right.
And while it happened, they still didn't believe in him. For example, his son.
Yeah, but I mean, it was heads up in the sense that it didn't help them. Yeah. They laughed at it, like you said. Same way they're laughing at it now about this.
So I was gonna say, so whatever you do, don't give any errors. Any heads up on the prophets.
Don't give what?
I said, don't give any Arabs if we know any. Don't tell them about a prophet.
Well, I mean, even if you tell them, it's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. But only thing that they would listen to, of course, if a NASA or one of those agencies said anything, which they know they even. Yeah. Which now they're even controlling NASA too, with the Arabs with all the money paying to the president.
You guys remember?
Maybe if you told them it came from a hadith, they'll be interested. They'll be like, "Oh, brother, tell me what hadith."
You remember last Ramadan, about the exact date of Ramadan when it's going to start? You had these Arabs with these telescopes trying to see what is it called, the light. They were looking at the moon, right? And when it's new moon, it's totally black. And then when you see light on the sides, because they believe there is a hadith. It says when you see what is the name for it? I know the Turk. Is it eclipse? No, it's
lunar eclipse.
I don't know.
Huh? What are you referring to?
When you have on the right or the left side, light starts coming in.
Like a crescent moon or something?
Crescent?
No, wait. It's called. Let me take my translation. We call it hilal, hilal.
Yeah, crescent.
Oh, crescent. Oh, it's called crescent. Yes, thank you, brother. MashaAllah. Yeah, so they were looking at the moon. It was new moon, so scientifically it's impossible to see the crescent. It's like 0% light, because new moon starts with that when it's totally black. But I have seen these videos on the news, because it came on the news because the part of the world, the Arabs, they started on, what they did is they started actually on the right day, while you couldn't see the crescent. And you understand what I mean? Like in the hadith, it says when you see the crescent, you need to start. And then they started without seeing the crescent. So there was a lot of discussion about why Saudi Arabia started while it's impossible to see the crescent. But they still did, And then a lot of other groups, they ended without seeing the crescent again, like it was crazy. So even with technology and even with telescope, they are just not doing the right thing. That's what
you're saying. Sorry, I'm a little confused. You said you can see the crescent with your. You said it's impossible to see.
Yeah, so what you have is you have a full moon and you have a new moon, right? Well, full moon is when the moon is totally, when there is light on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And a new moon is when it's totally black. It's 0% light on it, let's say, on this part of the moon.
Not 0%. You know, there is light.
No,
There
no,
is
I
light,
understand.
but it's hard to see.
No,
It's
bro,
not
that's not what I
impossible to
mean.
see.
No, that's not what I mean, brother.
Uh-huh.
When you, no, there must be a moment where there is 0%. And I'm not talking about, you know, when light shines on an object, then it's that light comes to your eyes, right? And our eyes can see that object. Like when we see an object, it's not because our eyes just can see it. It's because of the reflection of the light, right? So when we look at the moon, when it's new moon and we can see the moon, it's not because we can see it because of there is light. It's because you have also the world shining the light back to the moon. And, you know, it's crisscross and our eyes can see it. What I want to say is there is a moment when it's like 0% light. It starts with 0% and then it goes up, and then you have full moon, then it's total light. Maybe if you can, I actually sent many pictures in the group about this. And when you look at these pictures, it all says 0% at the point. And I'm not talking about that it's totally invisible. I'm not talking about visibility of the moon. I'm talking about the light that reaches parts of the moon where from our angle we are looking at it. So there must be a point where it's 0%. It must be. It's like there's no other way. You understand, bro? Like,
right. So moonrise is when you can actually see the top edge of the moon. That's the scientific definition of the moonrise.
Okay. But maybe can we look at the, let me see. I have sent many pictures in the group. Maybe if I can find them quickly. This was also in the month of Ramadan, of course. We do most of the times.
Yeah, new moon is at 0%. That I agree with, yeah.
Yes, that's what I meant, brother. Like there must be a point where it's 0% because it's turning, right? And when it turns, you always have 0 and then it turns back again. So 360 degrees. So you have that switching point.
Right.
It always happens. That's what I meant.
Right.
And what I was telling was, and these Arabs, they were that day. It was 0%, right? Like so, for them to be able to see it, even with telescopes, scientifically, it doesn't make sense. Like, why are you gonna do that? Like, this is science. Like, it's like 360 degrees. It's gonna turn, and then like, exactly at that moment when you can't see it, they were looking at it with these telescopes because of that hadith. They wanted to see the crust. And it was visible the day after. If I'm not mistaken, it was the 18th or something like this. So when you're blind and you're not righteous, you're not truthful, even with technology. That's what I was saying, you know, like even with the telescope, the technology, you know, the calculations they can make, like, yeah, you know, when God blocks your mind, like there is a wall, right? Nothing is going to help you. You're never going to be able to understand it or to see it or anything else.
Even like people who that made me think of, like, even the people with just like hobbyists that are into astronomy and stuff, or could even be working at NASA. They have all this stuff and they look at this stuff, and I mean, many of them, I don't know the statistics, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing where they don't give a second thought to about who created this, you know, the God who created all of this. Because I mean, sometimes when you look up at these things, you know, like I'll look up at the moon, and like one of the things I recently like I started doing or enjoy doing is looking up at the sun, but not directly at it, but just like I'm walking, and you can see its shape, and like if you even try to look too close to it, like your peripherals will start hurting your eye. But you know, you just, I mean, it's incredible, like how it's out there and floating, moving. It's almost, well, I didn't want to say magical, but excuse me. But yes, it's truly amazing, like how
Miraculous.
Yeah, miraculous. It's intense, like that this huge thing of like immense power, and it's just up there, and like humans, I mean, even myself, you know, before submission, and I mean, like we go by so many of these things heedlessly, and you don't give second thoughts to like how profound it is to have a sun and a star, and like how much power it is up there, and then that's just one of them, and that's not even a bright star, you know, because a star, like a bright star, is defined as 1,000 times brighter, and but yeah, it's just, you know, people with even other forms of technology to see different proofs they don't. And I kind of I guess I was adding to your point that it doesn't matter. I guess like if people see the proofs or have the miracle or this or that, they themselves, I think, decide to be disbelievers. You know, like. Yeah, in verse 79, the first one that says, "Therefore put your trust in God, you will follow the manifest truth." You know, that says, "You cannot make the dead nor the deaf hear the call if they turn away, nor can you guide the blind out of their straying. The only ones who will hear you are those who believe in our revelations as signs of peace submitters." So you explain that very well, because you know sometimes like when you talk to people, I mean even older people I've talked to, like that have had like really severe health problems or some things, really bad things happen to them that I've worked with, and then you know you told them about submission and they just don't seem to care, and then like they kind of may know that they're at death's door, and this is like the even scarier thing, and they don't even really seem to be concerned about you know like what's waiting for them after, or what's, you know, it's like, you know, you're almost more concerned with their lack of concern than they are concerned with themselves, you know. But it's a good reminder that we can't make people hear the call, even if you try to come from different angles talking about submission or this or that, you know. It's further, I guess, reminds us how extremely fortunate we are just to have the guidance and have the Quran, have the miracle, be born in this day and age to be able to witness all of this.
It's really amazing, yeah, you know, with God, how God's system works, you know.
Yeah, and verse 84 is Brother Suleiman. I'm just making sure, Brother.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, mashallah. Yeah, sometimes in the past, I didn't want to make sure I'm not speaking over by accident. Okay, mashallah. But yeah, it's 84 too. You know, about studying the Quran's mathematical code. I mean, this is, we can really think about this. This is applicable to every body we've given the message to. I mean, so, yeah, and it's people's egos and prejudices, I think, that would prevent them from even wanting to open the Quran, more so, like, especially if they're coming from other monotheistic religions, which really they're not following these religions how they're supposed to be. They're just idol worshippers. But it's really amazing how God covers all these different situations and stuff. And that's why I like the verse. I think we covered it a couple months ago about reading the Quran carefully, and it reminded me of like somebody who used to join our studies, and they wanted to go through the Quran too quickly. Or something, and it's
So they can tell people they read how many times.
yeah, and then you told me like it was even more funny because like you had said like there's people out there, I think, I don't know, and maybe it was Tucson or these other groups that actually like try to read the Quran so fast and it's like becomes like a competition or something, and it's just it's so ridiculous because it's about the message, it's not even about like that's not going to help you, if you read it any faster than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, when people like how we go to mosques and they are just reading verses, right? And then when it comes to discussing, they just pick some off-topic thing and go back and forth, and they think that they're reading the Quran, right?
Yeah, they're just like literally. Yeah, they're just reading. To me, it seems more like they're just reading words aloud, like they're not.
And
they're not even understanding it. It's like reading, like kind of like if you know how to speak and regurgitate like Spanish, and I could like sound out the words, but I don't even know what it means. That's the feeling that I got because it seems very robotic, like and unproductive.
Yeah, that's why God says, we render it like a foreign language in the hearts of the guilty. They don't even understand. They're barely reading words in English that they're mispronouncing and just struggling with the reading. Some of them, not all of them, but yeah. But I mean, subhanAllah. The idea here is obviously not to make fun of people, but thanking God for His blessings. I was just thinking about the verses of the Quran and how amazing it is. What a blessing it is actually from God to be able to allow us to study the Quran, in a proper format, in a group setting where we can hear each other's perspective and learn from each other and ask questions and really discuss it in detail without going through all of the nonsense that we see people getting into. So mashallah, it's a real blessing from God.
Yeah, mashallah, it is. Yeah, because that's another way, like we've seen before, that Satan, like, he distracts people with these, like irrelevant topics, like we've seen in that group, and then you miss it's his whole goal. He doesn't, like the messenger said, he wants to. That's why we seek refuge, and he doesn't want us to benefit from the Quran, and also I think like when he was talking about how the Arabs prohibit women from I think reading the Quran or teaching their children or something. I forgot exactly. But he said they should really, it's very important for them to know that way because they're with the child a lot, and the more they know, the better they could teach their children while the husband is working or something. Yeah, it's really a huge blessing because it's like being in a I guess like I think of it like you have like two different universities, and then one of them is like a very good one where it's a good environment, you can learn a lot, and another one it's like you walk in the classroom and there's like birds flying and like people throwing paper balls, spit balls at each other, and then like the professor is like not even paying attention, and like you can't learn an environment like that versus like something where you can actually sit down and focus and then talk about these things, because the more we do that, like the better that is, the better we become as individuals and as submitters. The better our lives come. The more
Did Brother Mardani leave?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just noticed. So I wanted to mention, I actually, wanted to go back. If there are no other comments on these verses, just wanted to kind of go a bit off topic on the Apophis discussion we had last week. Yeah. So because when we were reading the verses earlier, we were talking about the proofs and the signs, right? I mean, when it talks about these initials, God says, these are proofs for us, right? I mean, and so the mathematical miracle itself, serves as a proof, right? I mean, you can look at, like, for example, when it says the word ayah in Arabic, right? I mean, it can be interpreted as signs, it could be interpreted as proofs. But here we see consistently, when it comes to the mathematical miracle, I mean, these are interpreted as proofs, right? So it's the science that proves, right? The numbers that prove. And so, I mean, so based on the numbers, right? I mean, it's pretty clear that, the proof that we have, it is not just something we're guessing, or we're saying, right? It's something that God is teaching us, right? So, so in that sense, like, you can say that that's what we see, that's what the proofs show us, that because this is God's signature, right? I mean, if I get a letter, let's say, and that's signed by God, that means it came from God, right? Because it has God's signature on it. So, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's fine to say, like what you were saying, brother, last week, that we know
because of
that
the
is because of the proof, right? That this is going to happen, right?
MashaAllah. Yeah, bro, I totally agree. Because it's exactly the same system. And after the Friday prayer from yesterday, we talked about it again. I said we discussed the situation and the verses and all the stuff again in the Quran study, and I gave feedback, updated them again and what happened. So mashallah, they also believe that it's definitely going to happen because of that. And one of Abdullah's son, he's I think 20 years old or 21 years old, he said exactly the same thing. He said, how I understand is, if someone believes that the miracle of 19 is a miracle, and because of the proofs and evidences that you see in the Quran, when you see the same thing here, you see the same system and same miracle, etc., it's like a little bit hypocrisy if you would say, yeah, that which is in the Quran I believe, but the one which is out of the Quran and has to do with this Apophis, I don't accept it, or I don't really believe in it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, I
feels
mean, that's the
strange,
biggest thing that stood out to me when this even became an issue in the first place,
Mashallah.
was like, wait a minute, like, aren't we all submitters? Like, don't we all believe in the mathematical miracle? If you say you believe in the miracle, but you don't believe in this,
Yes.
then what does it mean? Like, it means you don't even
Yeah.
understand the miracle.
Yeah.
You don't even understand God's signature. You don't understand what we're talking about.
And I mean, another thing, like, what better way for it would to come with the confirmation and proof other than 19, because obviously, even if NASA, I mean, like, the way how crazy the world is, I mean, as we all know, like, even if NASA says, like, oh, Apophis is going to hit us, which they're not saying that, just for the record. Like, you wouldn't even know, you would have less certainty because you don't know if they're lying or they're blowing smoke. I mean, we see, like, the manipulation.
But
And
the important detail here is that this specific thing that is going to happen is also connected with Dr. Rashad. That's the
yes.
point. With 19 is also connected with that. Imagine if this still is going to happen, but then without any connection with 19, or any connection with what is in the submitter's
Right,
perspective.
and that's extremely important. That's going to prove, because there's these, I don't know what to call them, but like these goofballs, just conjecturers, spreaders of just pure conjecture and nonsense on YouTube. Specifically, it is. I shouldn't let it. It doesn't annoy me anymore, but hopefully I don't sound that way. But it's just like kind of cringe when I see it. But specifically, like from the Christians, it's like it's starting to like, it's just repulsive. But I mean, I just take it for what it is and accept it. But like they're trying to like say these different things about this and they're trying to like almost. It's going to be the end of the world. That and all these other false ideas, which we know is not going to happen. So when the actual smoke does happen, that gets thrown out the window. They're exposed for their conjecture, and also they don't have the proof. So that's another thing. I've also like looked at this 19 as being extremely important, and we're grateful because it has the signature of the smoke prophecy, of the messengers, the covenant's prophecy, directly tied to him. So nobody else can say anything, or you can't have some like Buddhist claim that, oh, this, was foretold, and they're just like, or even if they just start inventing these ideas and stuff. So that's another, I think, important aspect. Because the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I might have brought it up a little bit in the past, is because as the time gets closer, we're probably going to see more and more of this, YouTube videos and stuff. There's actually a lot just since the time, like, you had first looked it up, and then, you found about it, Suleiman. There wasn't like a whole lot, but it's funny because like since that time, because I would look, and there's mainly like maybe some like trajectory information, like scientific videos, but like since that time, because I've looked on YouTube and no one was out there. Like it has grown immense. Like I'd say 6 months after, with all this like, just conjecture and other videos, but they don't even know that it's all guesswork, like the Quran says, because you can see that like, oh well, maybe it's this thing or maybe it's this, and then maybe aliens or maybe and so thank God we have the 19 and it's tied to the smoke, so that way when submission prevails, people are going to be able to see like, no, look, those people are just guessing and they're just making stuff up. They're trying to get views for their channel and stuff, which a lot of them are doing, and they want to get followers and all of that. And people are going to be able to see that when it happens. And then plus, they don't know. Nobody's saying it's going to hit Saudi Arabia. That's another thing. Even if you believe Apophis is going to hit, let's just say you do, you're just going off of what NASA tells you, which is going to be, I think, well, they're not even saying it's going to hit, but like the Neil deGrasse Tyson video that came out said something about it hitting in the Pacific Ocean, right? So let's just say even if you didn't believe the flyby trajectory above North Africa, even with Tyson's not real old, but that somewhat old video, I think you had shared a while back, you would at best like believe it's going to hit the Pacific, but we know that's not the case. We know it's Arabian Peninsula. Nobody else is saying it. Nobody else in the world really knows that. And then plus, we also see like these billionaires building bunkers in Hawaii. Obviously they're not gonna. These billionaires aren't gonna be doing such things if they had any remote idea.
Yeah, another thing we found out recently was some of the scientists that were working on, missions, like top secret missions, like deflecting asteroids that are on course to hit Earth, for example, were killed and stuff,
Wow.
Yeah, remember like the one I shared?
That lady. So, yeah, that's another. That's like in I don't want to say insane because it's not. I don't want to make it sound bad, but it's like.
Even the guy who discovered Apophis, he died very mysteriously too, because all his friends were shocked because they were saying he was in such good health. All of a sudden he died of pancreatic.
Yeah, that's another thing that Roy Tucker or whatever, or Roy, whoever he was.
Yeah, but the other thing is, all these people who are saying that it's gonna pass and it's not gonna hit, like we have to understand that asteroids are not like comets, and not like planets where they have a specific orbit, like they can really easily calculate, right? Because they're like perfect spheres, and they're predictable in that sense, right? Very predictable, and they have a specific orbit that they're not going against. It's not the same. Like you don't see, for example, planets and stars colliding with each other like that, going out of orbits and stuff, right? God has put them in a specific harmony, but when it comes to like meteors and asteroids, they don't really. I mean, you can predict to a certain degree. I'd say like their orbit, like where they're headed, for example. Which part of the universe they're going towards, but it's not like cut and dry, just like the planets and stuff that have specific orbits that they're going in those orbits for millions of years, and they're not gonna divert, and so for them to have this sort of certainty that it's going to come within 36,000 miles or however long, and it's not going to hit, like it's just they're just doing this to appease the people and comfort them and stuff, and just keep them living.
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, that's kind of exactly. Yeah, because the orbit, the trajectory is constantly changing. Like I know we've looked at videos. Like just one aspect is like when it rotates, you know, like the sun, the heat from the sun, and because of how irregular shaped some of these spots are, that creates like such a huge level of variance and like exponential differences, and like count like it would be is basically it's just like lucky. So for, then to say like, oh no, it's gonna get this close, but it's just not. It's not gonna. And I mean, this is like literally the ticket, you know, like. I mean, we know the smoke is going to happen, the prophecy, and this is like the victory that God gives the people, you know, the believers, the messengers, the victory. Whether you know, also like that verse that says, whether they see it or not, you know, they're going to be triumphant. Yeah, I was actually thinking, like doing, like a lot of those. I posted it on comments under that video I did. I think last year or something. I think last May or June or something. But yeah, I was like all the new stuff that we found. I was gonna make a new video. Like with a lot of those new things, I've been keeping track of it, but now it's getting so much to the point where I think it needs its own video. So I'm just gonna get, I guess, you know, AG to help me or something, and I'm also gonna like try to be in it and just, you know, talk about it just to make it more, put a face to it, make it more interesting. But yeah, I think just for historical sake too, I think it's good. 'Cause, I mean, we have the comments, and then also we could update maybe the website too at some point. Or add something into the submission app. I think we have an article. Don't we have an article section too? Or we're getting
we're getting one, so it's not a difficult thing. Just I'm trying to get around to it.
Yeah, that thing with the science is really something. And then
are you gonna change the text now, brother? Are you gonna change it?
You want me to change it? I mean, I can change it. It doesn't.
No.
I didn't even notice.
Do you know why? Because in the submitter's perspective, it starts with it will hit in. What does it say? An asteroid will hit Earth. The Messenger of the Covenant didn't write down most probably or most likely. He said it will hit Earth. But
of course it will hit Earth.
Yeah, but no. That will happen, of course. But in the website, it was written most likely. You remember we talked about it? So my idea was...
I was saying it was talking about the timing part was most likely, not saying that most likely will hit Earth.
I understand. No, I understand.
Oh, is that what was yours?
Yeah. Yeah. So because when... Okay, so how it all started was with the question, Messenger of the Covenant guessed the date, right? Or he it was not a prediction. He was just saying, God knows better. I think it's gonna happen in this date. Then I asked, can we say that because of the date it didn't happen, it's never gonna happen, or you know, how should we understand this? And then you said it says it will happen. The date is not exact.
Yeah, the date is not exact, but it will happen.
It will happen. Yes, that's right. And then after Apophis had all the signs that we had, now you have two things, right? One is we definitely know that it says it will hit Earth, but about the date we say most likely. So my question is, shouldn't we change most likely to it will happen in 13 April 2029 because of also the last thing you said about these are the constitute proofs of this profound because of this proof. And maybe we can also you can also add this too.
You can say God willing it will happen.
Yeah, of course. God willing it will hit. But to make sure that it's similar, or like to make sure that it aligns with what the Messenger of the Covenant has written there. that it will hit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still, I'm not really sure, of course,
Yeah, the
if
will
that's the
part is,
right thing to do.
huh? I mean, I don't see a difference for me. That was just a way of saying it. Like when we were like, if I wasn't sure, for me personally, like you see, for example, on Submission WS website, you don't see anything pretty much from us directly. It's everything's from the messenger for the most part, right? There's nothing because of course, like we don't feel comfortable posting our opinions or things that, like, for example, unlike other people, seeing things
But this is not an opinion,
yeah. So I mean, if we weren't sure to this degree, in other words, I'm saying is like this information would not be there in the first place on the website, right?
Yes,
you know.
mashallah, yes,
Yeah.
totally agree.
Mhm. Mhm. So for me, it was just a way of saying it, But then, uh, but then now reflecting more, it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think too, like the reason also, mashallah, just made me think about studying the Quran's code. We should restudy the Apophis 19 code because it's really incredible. You remember the text message, like some of this, I don't know, like when I was looking at some of these things, I'm like, oh my, and then like how you can get chills and stuff, and then like 100% certainty hits you, and then with time, I mean we know what's gonna happen, but I think revisiting these codes too, uh, can increase, and help us too. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like to look, because especially I think when we're like telling somebody about Apophis, and we don't want to be like, we don't want to be like, I mean, if God says it's going to happen, and we can say it's going to happen, and that's not being arrogant with people. And if people want to think that or think, oh, look how sure this person is, like, like this person is, because sometimes like people, I mean, that we could talk to, that they're not even submitters, but still, like they'll be looking at you with what's the ridicule in their eyes or whatever,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like sometimes like we may like soften the message, which maybe is not that good to do, but like at the same time we don't want to like just tell them like no, like it's gonna hit, and you better prepare, or you're gonna be doomed. Which is kind of like the truth, but like we don't say it like that. We don't talk to them like that.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't mean they could survive,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that information is not even for those people in the first place. I mean it's only for submitters who believe.
In 19, or else it doesn't make sense. Like if someone already doesn't believe in the miracle of 19 seeing with the Quran, like why would he say, okay, I don't accept that with the Quran, but with this I'm gonna accept, Like it's a perfect, like God made it so perfect, like this whole plan, right? He sends a book 19, the messenger talks about it, and then like someone who doesn't believe in the miracle 19 is also gonna laugh about Apophis, and if you show them.
Yeah, including the hypocrites.
Yes.
Yeah, I still find it hilarious. Like those reactions and comments we got from those people, when they decided not to accept these proofs, about how they were misled by these disbelievers who were laughing at the miracle of the Quran and Al-Fatiha, and using that disbelievers' arguments about Al-Fatiha to try to use that for Apophis. Like I still find it hard to.
Oh, really? Yeah. And then
Like that's
it comes from a person who for many years said that he believes in the miracle in 19 and Rashad and all the things, like that makes it even, like how in the world, why would someone,
And then how can you be a friend? I mean, God be glorified, but like, how can you be a friend of God? Like the messenger said, God wants solid friends. So I mean, how can you even like remotely even think or try to be that if you're going along with this disbelieving devil who's making fun of Al Fatah, who's also making fun of 19 together, and then you're like promoting this guy. I mean, what do you think that what do you think the Lord of the universe is gonna look at you or think of you as? Like that's so.
Yeah, it still really blows my mind, It really, he told him, like, look, do you know what you're doing? He's like, yeah. It's like, praise be to God. God used an atheist to guide me. I'm like, what?
That's like insane. He really said, yeah, wow, man, that's so.
Yeah, he really said these things. I couldn't believe my eyes.
and you met him, yeah, like
I met him, yeah.
yeah, you even met this guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he was too bright, like
Yeah, I mean,
and he wasn't.
yeah, I mean, it was. I think he. Yeah, I mean, there was signs here and there, like of course, I was seeing, signs of ego and stuff, So, but yeah, I mean,
like what, brother?
Like about like all this thing about. First thing, all these things about the Turkey, like Jesus was born in Turkey, Mary was born in Turkey, and like Turkish people are so great, and which I mean, of course, you can have great people from anywhere, but then also like you say, oh, like I like sports, I'm a boxer, like it's like those types of things, like as submitters, like you shouldn't be exhibiting these types of like egotistical show off type vibes coming from submitter, so like things like that, like I was seeing. But obviously like also other things I saw, like minor details. I don't have to like get into the details of every single thing, but like yeah, I mean, like I started seeing some things, but I never expect a submitter to to just go against the Al-Fatiha. Like out of all the chapters in the Quran, take the Al-Fatiha, which is the strongest mathematical miracle, in its foundation, like it's mind-boggling. I mean, it's crazy. And you use that and pick an argument from an atheist against that and try to use that to, talk against, Apophis in that sense. Just really, I still can't get over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and what this really showed too is that these people you can't really believe in the prophecy of the smoke and the messenger of the covenant if you don't, I mean, like, because after all the proofs and then you're completely disregarding it and rejecting it and saying this and that, and then even attacking the people, who are bringing this information. I mean, like, as we've discussed before, there's nothing even remotely close that fits the ticket. I mean, and there's nothing that probably ever will be, because this is the one. Because I mean, we have the dates. Friday the 13th. We have the June 19th. We have it's the perfect size. I already did deep research with GBT. I mean, also what the scientists Tyson and other NASA, like, this isn't an Earth annihilating asteroid, but it's also not just some, look and forget asteroid. Like, this is a monster of an asteroid, and so this is, I mean, it literally is even the deep research with GBT I did some time ago, and I told it, I didn't even tell the pops, I said, let's just take an asteroid akin to Office, and because I didn't want it to be biased, you know, and say, oh, yeah, it's going to do this and that. It's just, oh, an asteroid this size, this megaton, it was literally describing exactly what the messenger had said. We said, this is what's going to happen. It hits this part of the sand's going to instantly vaporize the Earth. It's going to create firestorms, like, it's going to be like basically hell on earth in that entire Middle East region, you know, from it says an asteroid the size and weight of Apophis, you know, and yeah, I mean, like, what more?
Yeah, and thinking about you know, the developments that we see in the Middle East, you know, like they're already building in Saudi Arabia. Now they've already started construction on all those futuristic cities that they were talking about, like the Line and stuff, you know, like they're already building that, you know, and you can see, like, I was this morning I was watching a video where they were just showing all these buildings in Dubai with all those lights and stuff, you know, like they just keep getting brighter and fancier and taller, you know, and all of them, they're, you know, they're they're gonna be at their prime, you know, by 2029, you know.
Yeah. Weren't they trying to build like this city, like it was actually like a huge box or building, but it was so.
Yeah, I think they're also probably gonna build that too, but they, I don't know about the progress on that one, but I know that the Line, that they already started building that, you know. But I think they're coming up with like a smaller miniature version of it, and then they're gonna make it bigger. But they've already started construction and everything on those.
I mean, like, what a waste of money. I mean, just what a waste that these people are wasting. Like, that they could be, a lot of resources and money that could be used elsewhere. I mean, you know, to feed like their people, to help the homeless. I mean, like, and even we're not even asking. I mean, even if you do probably like 1% of like all their wealth, I mean, you could like change. You could like have a world impact. Probably, definitely. I mean, you know, but I mean, they're so bad.
Yeah. We also just got a big giant golden statue of Donald Trump, you know, recently inaugurated in Florida.
Did it happen?
Yeah, the people are calling it the golden calf.
The golden calf, yeah. I wonder they have people guarding it so like people don't try to come and chip off some gold pieces. That's something like I would think to do. Like, I'd like, let me get me a piece of this, and I'd reburn it or sell it or something.
Yeah, but I don't think it'd be pure gold. Everything, you know, it's probably just gold plated. You know.
Right, just
yeah, you can make it extremely thin, and then it's gonna cost you like $100 for the whole statue to be with gold because it's very thin, you know.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Brother Jaffer, you're gonna visit us in 2029, huh?
Yeah.
After like when do you mean? Before or after?
Before.
Before. Yeah, God willing, if God allows us to do that.
Yeah, if God allows you to get a flight.
Inshallah. Brother, I went to last time. You remember when I went to Istanbul? Yeah, it was like 3 hours. And then the first flight was in like economy class, and the airplane, when it's a short distance, they use these narrow ones. So I was really sitting in a very different position, and I was in the middle of two people. That was very not to complain, but like it was. And I cannot imagine going like, how many hours is it? 9, 10?
No, but I mean, when you travel long distance, I mean, that's another good thing is like, you know, you have bigger planes, you know, like cross Atlantic is always big planes. You have like, they're very comfortable, you know, and you know, if you pay a little bit extra, you know, you can get more leg room, you know.
Yeah, I get. And when I came back, I really couldn't. I thought I cannot take this. Like, and then I took the business business class. That was much better. But in the end, the last 20-25 minutes, I had this immense pain in my ears. You know, I always have them. And then one time, I even had
is it popping,
bleeding.
brother? Is
Popping,
your
but
ears pop? Yeah, that
I had
happens.
even bleeding ears.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I could not this time, but like before. Yeah, so I cannot really imagine me sitting in an airplane for 8-9 hours. I don't know how long it takes. That's why.
Oh.
But who knows? God, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah. You should get your own jet, you know, so you don't have to travel with the demons.
Well, you don't have to sit in the tube with a bunch of demons.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say, you know, if you have a longer flight, you know, maybe it also has to do with the planes, you know, the kind of planes you've traveled in, because every air experience is not the same. It depends on the planes, and especially, and the best airplanes are the ones that fly across Atlantic, you know.
Yeah, I think he's right, you know, because now that I think about it, that has to be true, because there are some planes where my ears pop. They kind of like don't like. I mean, they kind of like feel weird, uncomfortable when they pop, but it goes away eventually. And then there's like for some time, I think it was the bigger planes, the nicer ones, where I think they have better pressurization in the cabin. Yeah, because they can do that. And it was always the smaller, cheap ones, and then also those are the ones where the seats were more narrow and stuff. And then but the big ones are like the ones like straight shots, like halfway across the U.S. Like those are nice. And I'm just remembering, I don't have ear popping on those, like, because I think it's the cheaper, smaller ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Turkish Airlines has good flights. Also, you know, Air France has good flights. They have good planes, especially Air France is very comfortable. Everything, you know. They have less like crying babies and stuff. Also, more comfortable.
Yeah, if you can afford business class, like that's actually very nice. Business class, you know. With
but I mean, you don't even have to fly business class. Yeah, you don't even have to fly business class. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, you could just,
because they're already big. You mean when you go long?
Yeah, I mean, you can just pay like, I don't know, like $50 or so, you know, get some extra leg room, you know, like the seat where you don't have another seat in front of you. You know, like, that's it, you know. But yeah, I mean, if you want to fly business class, you know, please fly business class, you know, and come and see us, God willing.
Yeah, but there was a huge difference, you know, like with everything when you go business. You don't have to wait for the line. You have these launches, and you know, it's very like the difference is not like just a little, you know. The difference is a lot when you
like the Quran says, it's far greater.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what you were saying about you know, the human beings wanting to go to high heaven, you know. And I was just thinking about, I mean, it's like someone telling us, someone telling us, hey, you can fly business class. You know, it's like, oh, you're gonna be able to fly business class from now on. You know, if you go through this test, they're like, I wanna go. we just thought it was gonna be like some small test, you know, that we're gonna get these extra perks or something, you know, and
I guess, the thing that like always, I know I've asked it before, and maybe if y'all have any new shed any new light, but I mean, I think we've already talked about it, but the thing that keeps getting me is like, why didn't we look at the decision of all the stars and the billions of other creatures like the mosquitoes, and like before they were turned into that or came down to that? How come we didn't look at, and it's like, oh man, like there's got to be some reason, like, man, if they're And like the
Ego.
heavens and the mountains are afraid of it. What on earth do they know? Like, oh man, they must know. But then, yeah, it's I was just like you said, it's ego. All right, man, it must have been really bad because, like, you know, like if you see, like, let's say that was a test in real life, and you see like the vast majority of people be like, no way, like I'm not doing it. You're gonna look at like, oh man, they must like they were afraid of it, you know. But I guess yeah, our ego blinded us, making us think it would be easy.
But also the reward if you get past the test, right? That was also something specifically. You know, being the closest to God. So you have actually what you have the two opposites, right? One is there is chance that you're going to end up in hell, farthest away from God, and then the other part is like you're going to be the closest to God. So, and then of course everyone had their own reasons. And what we know, of course, is like one is it's ego. Two, we underestimated the devil. We said, of course, we're going to choose for God. And the third one, the messenger explains, is definitely we were overwhelmed by the amazing reward being extremely close to God.
But still, like, I mean, we had to have been told, I'm assuming, like, how horrible, like, the horrors of hell, like, why would you even want to risk, like such a, yeah, we were, because, like, you're, at least one thing you're guaranteed for sure, like, to be happy forever and not have to, like, you have zero risk of going to, like an unimaginable place that's so, I mean, you can't even, worst nightmare. And like that's still a risk. I mean, even if we thought it was low, and that's where all the other creatures, I think most of those other creatures knew better. But yeah, ego we probably didn't think of it as a big deal because we're like, oh no, like it's not that serious because the test isn't hard, so I don't really have to worry about going to such a horrible place. But still, it's I guess yeah, the ego blinds. Makes us, I guess, not see. But yeah, like you said too, that the reward as well must have been really, really something for us to, I guess, want to also take the test. But may God help us, you know, now that we're in it.
Yeah, mashallah. I just remembered one other thing you had mentioned in the study, rather, about Pharaoh. And you said now we have so many pharaohs. You know, that's so yeah. I was just thinking about it, you know, recently. And I'm sorry, I'm going to mention Trump here again, but like he recently said that he said he's the most powerful man. He says, "I'm the most powerful man ever known on this planet." You know, so like imagine all the people, yeah, and he's constantly, you know, promoting, like, I mean, in his mind, you know, like for the Christians, like a lot of these people, right? Jesus represents God, right? They think Jesus is God, and he's been showing his faces with Jesus, you know, like dressed as Jesus and stuff. Like first he did that, and then when people criticized him and said you're blaspheming, and he said, no, I thought he was a doctor. You know, I thought I was dressing as a doctor. You know, imagine AI is bringing Jesus, and you think, oh no, I thought that's just me being a doctor. You know, and then people are making fun of doctors, you know, wearing clothes like Jesus, and they say I'm a doctor. You know. But then now, just recently, I think yesterday, he posted another video or picture of himself with AI, with Jesus' clothes and crown on his head with the face of Trump, you know?
Really?
Yeah, that was yesterday, I think, you know? So, and people are of course, angry and stuff, the Christians saying, oh, this is blasphemous and this and that. Yeah. But that shows, like, you know, but that shows him being, like, same as Pharaoh. You know, wanting to and then you have, you know, funny, you have people in submission, imagine, like promoting him, worshiping him. Even now, like, remember, I don't know if you know this guy, but like this one guy recently, you know, like I saw he posted a video on his Facebook, about like what was it, some group called Students for Trump or something, you know. And I'm like, what is? And he's not even in America; like he's in Europe, Germany or something, And I think like now in Europe also they're trying to bring this stuff in and trying to damage, politically. So they're also promoting Trump over there. But just the idea of the Pharaoh part and the arrogance and stuff, it just reminds us, of course, probably I don't know if Pharaoh even did the kind of things that we see people doing
I
now.
thought about like some of the like demonic pedophile. I mean, sorry to be so morbid on the study, but I mean it's a reality and it's true. But like, yeah, we don't know like if Pharaoh and them did that type of just really evil stuff. I mean,
which is why the Apophis didn't come when Pharaoh was there.
Right, yeah.
The Apophis are coming now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He just had, I mean, not to, trivialize it, but like he had the Red Sea hit him, which was huge. But like this Apophis is like, it's on a whole nother level, like a whole other planet. Like no pun intended.
It's like this. It's like the size of a soccer stadium, right? Or football stadium, but it's like the height of Empire State Building. Right?
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, man, it's
huge.
And he's gonna be. It only makes sense too that like he would be the sitting person, like in office or that it would. I mean, even though we won't want that, but like I don't know, it just seems to me like let's say we get, I mean, like an okay or not even okay. Let's just say someone not as bad as him, like not even a tenth as bad as him, like and then Apophis hits. It's kind of like, no, like Trump needs to be in there so he can be punished, and everybody will also see like this was, a result. Like he is tied, like he was, like they're gonna, even for non-believers, who God will become believers, they immediately will tie this to karmic juju, like, oh, this is bad juju from Trump,
Yeah, and I think also the Arabs have a huge part to play in all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arabs are. Yeah, I mean, strongly, this is all. I think a lot of it, and I think I mean, of course, we don't want to go into speculation and stuff, but we clearly all the proofs are there, that all of that corruption is, they have a huge role to play in all of this, like, and, subhanAllah, I mean, that's why smoke is going to be a blessing in so many ways for the world, to change the course of how things are moving right now in the world, and submission will prevail and more people will, follow the message, God willing.
Yeah, the Arabs, they like what I didn't realize, like you're saying, and I think you shared some stuff, but like they're huge, they're very deeply tied into like the, as we know, like the oppression of the children and horrible things like stuff to do with. Yeah, the kids.
Yeah. It's all about the money. They're all greedy. I mean, imagine like the amount of wealth that they already have, right? And they're still scheming to be even richer.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they're poor in that sense that the messenger says, like you have no amount of wealth, it makes them feel secure. Like they're still worried about, their livelihood. Like they're trying to destroy windmills and all these other industries, so they can continue to, get their money, from the people, Anyway, so I guess if there are no other comments or questions, God willing, we can conclude the study. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Brother Jaffer, for leading the study. And God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Wednesday. Wednesday, right? God willing?
Yeah, I think.
Actually, you're flying on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to. Let me check. Yeah, because I'll be flying on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'm next Saturday actually. I think so. Yeah, not Wednesday.
No, but you're
Uh,
fine. Right?
yes, but I might be flying early. Let me check the time, so we could still.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about it in the WhatsApp.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
All
sounds
right,
good.
thank you. God bless you.